Please put your hands together for Kristoffer Borgli, Dylan Galula, and the most interesting man in the world, Nicolas Cage! There's that standing O. Ten minutes, right? That's how long we need to go? Far be it from me to stop this, but you want to get on with some questions? Shall we talk?
Sure, great.
Dream scenario?
Let's do it.
So, I was first struck by the premise. It feels very Lovecraftian, this idea, it's like a nightmare situation of people all sharing one dream. Where did this idea come from?
Well, it's something that started with, I saw like a bunch of different cases of professors getting fired. And I got like very intrigued, it was like a new culture thing. There wasn't, the word cancel culture didn't exist yet. But these professors would like go on podcasts and talk about how they felt that they couldn't recognize the what they were being accused of, that these crimes were all fabricated in the minds of others. And that was like the thing that clicked, the idea that that there could be real life consequences for something that happens purely in a dream. And then I guess Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff like, what if that was like real and happened in reality, and how dumb it would be. Like, and it's like taking as you're saying, like a Lovecraftian or something that's like a fictional trope and then placing it in the banality of our current culture seemed fun. Like in films, like say Nightmare on Elm Street, it seems like you have a tropey kind of idea, and it always comes with the rest of the genre elements. But I wanted to like hijack a very like Twilight Zone-y idea and put it in like the dumb world that we live in.
But you still sort of play with some of those genre tropes in the dreams themselves. What went into the process of sort of designing and ideating those dreams?
Well, some of it was just remembering dreams, the running away from an unknown killer in a daylight, no one's around, no matter how many backyards and alleyways you take, he's always behind you. Just the feeling of a dream was important. Like when you talk about a dream in retrospect, it always seems ridiculous and silly. But when you dream it, when you're in it, it feels completely logical. And so I wanted to make the dreams feel like they do when you're in them, and not like how we talk about them after.
They're incredibly visceral.
Yeah, and like serious when you're dreaming them. Yeah.
Now, Nicolas, you've experienced over the years what some writers would call as a memification, a sense of where your fans have kind of taken your image, they've made T-shirts of them and stuff. Did some of those ideas that you've experienced as a celebrity sort of impact how you approach the character Paul Matthews?
Well, in the name of Thespis, it was no acting, please. I felt I had the life experience. What had happened to me, I think I might have been the first actor who woke up one morning and somebody had put a montage of me making meltdown moments and freaking out and cherry picking from different movies, and then put it online I think it was called Nicolas Cage Loses His Shit. And then it went viral overnight around the world, and I kept looking at it, going, what is happening to me? that's not how I meant it. And then it kept growing exponentially and compounding on itself and getting bigger, and nothing I could do could stop it. I couldn't stop it legally. I couldn't stop it anyway. And I just sort of sat there. And then it started going into this memification with photoshopping and, like you said, T-shirts and whatnot. And I said, well, I got to put this somewhere. And then I read Dream Scenario. And I said, yes, now I can turn this lead into a little bit of gold. I will apply that to Paul Matthews.
And what's interesting, too, is that you have the character of Paul Matthews, but then you have these dream selves that we only get glimpses of that. What were you drawing on for the dream versions of Paul?
Well, that was actually a lot of fun because he was just sort of bearing witness, not really doing anything. And so he was just a bystander, and he wanted to have some action, if you will. And so when he meets Dylan's character, it was actually a relief. Finally, at least he's doing something, you know?
And that's such an important scene. I'd love to talk about your sequence with Dylan at Pharmacy Bar. Is that the Pharmacy Bar, I think, that you guys shot it at?
Yeah.
Yeah. We heard some whoops confirming. Yeah, that's such a fantastic scene. Dylan, can you just talk about your experience doing both that scene and then the incredible role play sequence that is both a nightmare and also one of the funniest scenes, I think, of the year?
I mean, what's to say? It was crazy. It was like, you know, being an actor is so weird on any day. It was normal and also fun. I mean, I had a good time.
Oh, absolutely, I did too.
Yeah, it was a very... It was a very smooth experience, sort of without incident, if you can believe it.
I agree,
Yeah.
totally without incident.
We were both normal.
And the cinematography, I'd love to talk about Benjamin Loeb's work on the film, who, yes.
He's here today.
Hey, Benjamin, take a bow.
Woo!
And Nicholas, you've worked with Benjamin before, too.
I worked with Benjamin on Mandy.
On Mandy, yeah.
And this was all shot in 16 millimeter. Can you believe it? The last time I did that was leaving Las Vegas.
That was the last time you shot on 16?
Yeah, on 16 millimeter.
Terrific. But I love the look of the film, and again, how you delineate. There's an ambiguity sometimes between whether we're in a dream space or in a reality space. Sometimes those lines get blurred. Could you speak a little bit about the visual design of the film?
Yeah, there's some scenes that you see in the reality of the movie and then in a dream version of it. And those were kind of the most fun to play around with. How do they differentiate? And I don't know if you guys remember exactly what the difference is, but if you see it again, you'll notice that there's like a lack of detail in the dream version of all those scenes. Where we ripped out most of the props, and if a bookshelf in the real scene has, you know, real titles, in the dream sequence it's just like fake books with no titles on them, for instance. And it was it was about like hiding things and having a lot of things that just like faded into darkness, so you don't really can tell where the end is, and making it feel like more poorly rendered reality, but still not so obvious that you can tell immediately when you're in it.
Was there a dream that you constructed that you were particularly proud of? Or Nicholas, was there a memorable one for you to perform?
Well, I thought the earthquake was fantastic. It was so spectacular. Even when we were shooting it, it was a big production. They really brought it to life.
Yeah, no, that is the big, intense, the kind of cowboy feeling of shooting with pyrotechnics and all that stuff. Yeah. But I do still feel like the scenes we did in that little apartment with like nothing but the two of these guys, that was like more intense than like the fireworks and the big.
And I love the marching in my daughter's bad
yes,
dream.
That march.
We put some thought. I was like, what should we do? What would be really unnerving? Well, what if I just storm out of the closet and march really high? That to me is just weird. Let's do that. We had a few different ones.
That was the winner. That was the winner. I think it was like you had the idea of like marching really big, and then I said, do it with a big smile.
remember we did one, it didn't make it, but I remember I had this weird dream that my grandfather, Bob Vogelsang, he was sitting in his easy chair, and I was like 5 years old, and I was sitting on the couch, and he looked at me and he smiled, and his finger got really long, and he stuck it into my stomach, and he went zap! And I went, whoa! And we tried to do that one, remember that?
We have it. It exists.
Is it going to be the dream cut now on YouTube at some point? I'd also like to talk about the design of the device, the dream device at the end of the film. It feels very Cronenbergian.
The end?
The end, the bracelet.
Oh yeah, the bracelet itself. Yeah, I was more inspired by Kanye West's design. But Cronenberg, yeah, sure, I'll take it.
I agree with you. I did feel it was Cronenbergian. It was definitely Cronenberg.
Yeah. I was thinking of Existence. I'm going to take it out to the audience just briefly. We don't have that much time, but right at the back there, yes.
I love the film. I have a question for Nicolas.
Yes.
Hi.
You said in the past before that a lot of your work is inspired by like German expressionism. So I was wondering what other influences were for your role in this.
What was sort of influencing your performance style here? German expressionism.
Well, the German expressionism didn't really have any place here. That was more for movies like Vampire's Kiss, and even Renfield as Dracula. But here, not so much. I think what really was effective, again, Kristoffer's father is a professor, and my father is a professor in academics, and I saw the pressures he went through. I grew up around it, saw the pressures he went through at the university, and that kind of where you don't know if you're going to be able to keep your job when suddenly the student body turns on you. And I thought about that. And the biggest influence, again, was just my own life experience. The thing about that, though, fame, is like gambling. Sometimes when you're winning, you're feeling like you're on top of the world, and then when your fame turns against you, the feeling of loss is so profound. It's more profound than the feeling of winning. But what's sad here for Paul is that he has no interest in being a rock star or a movie star. He just wants to get his book written. And I felt that, now that can happen to any of you. Any of you now with the cell phone and with the camera and the cell phone can become famous overnight and become the woman on the airplane, or as Kristoffer says, the trip in the supermarket guy. It can happen to anyone, but what made this particularly empathic and sad, and the pathos was that this man just wanted to write a book. He wanted to have his quiet little life with his family. Not empathic, but pathos.
In the balcony in the middle there? Yes.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, you got the hand in the air.
First of all, I wanted to say I did enjoy the movie. I wanted to say, Dylan, you were my favorite part of the movie.
Thank you.
Of course. So there are two things that this reminded me of. Two animated shows that I grew up with, actually. One was the SpongeBob episode where he goes around going into people's dreams.
Was SpongeBob an influence at all?
I've never watched SpongeBob.
And the other one was a Futurama episode where where Fry has a dream he's naked in school, and we've all had that dream, right? Maybe it was just me.
Were you pulling anything from other media or other films or comedies, perhaps?
Yeah,
Surrealism.
I mean, there's a lot of the references are mentioned in the film itself. Yeah. Of course, as I said.
Was the idea of putting Nicolas in the David Byrne suit there from the script page, or was that a development through the process of your collaboration?
That was in the script. I just needed kind of an iconic and cool Halloween costume that once you mention it in the middle of the movie, like a Chekhov's gun type thing, you understand it without having to say anything at the end. And it spoke to there was a cool past for this guy, Paul Matthews. Once he was cool and listened to cool music.
But I would say that, it's been 45 years I've been doing this, and in 45 years, I've only read 5 scripts where I said, this has to happen. It's very important. I have to make this movie. I know how to play this part. I have to do it. And the 5 scripts were Leaving Las Vegas, Raising Arizona, Vampire's Kiss, Adaptation, and Dream Scenario. Because
What company to be in?
and thank you, but there have been other movies that evolved. Like I was talking to Ari, so what about Wild at Heart? Yeah, Wild at Heart was terrific, but it wasn't necessarily on the page. You see, what I'm trying to say is that Kristoffer's script was perfect when I got it. And I didn't want to change a single thing. And I knew that when I met him, it was like, well, okay, he's half my age and twice as smart as me, and I don't think I'm stupid, but here, buddy, here's the remote control. I'm the remote control car. You push the buttons, I'm going to go wherever you tell me, because this is your baby, this is your vision. And it was perfect as soon as I got the script.
Take a bow, Kristoffer.
Oh my God.
All of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That's all the time we have for.
Thank you.